Hi, I'm Raeshawn Cannon. I'm the author of 20 Beautiful Women. These are women from all over the place. They're in Atlanta, there's one from Africa, just all over the place. We've all come together into one book to just tell our story. We've all faced some different tragedies, some type of circumstance in life that really held us back, held us down at some point. And we tell our story on how we overcame those tribulations or those circumstances and those challenges to live our best life now. The chapter that I wrote in the book about my story is actually called Beautiful Scars, and it's literally, from the scar that's on the side of my face. I got this scar when I was 12 years old. One of my best friends at the time, we got into a fight over a boy, a 12-year-old getting into a fight over a boy, right? And I did not know, but at the time she had a blade in her mouth. And she pulled it out in the middle of the fight and somehow ended up slicing my face from here, just under my eye, all the way down to the lower part of my chin. And it wasn't until another friend yanked me back and said, you're bleeding, then I realized that, my face had been cut. Still didn't know it was with a blade, but, everything goes down. We get to the hospital. They stitch me up, 37 stitches. And at the age of 12, that's the time where, most girls are coming in, they're kind of coming into their own. They're becoming aware of their appearance. They're starting to like little boys and things like that. And so 37 stitches down the side of my face looking like a railroad track. Needless to say, there were some complex issues, some self-esteem issues that were developed, and just kind of made me start shying into the background. I didn't want to be in the spotlight, didn't want to be seen. End up over time, just pushing me even into adulthood to just accept things, just whatever to make this easy, because I just don't want to be the highlight. So I'm just trying to smooth sail through this thing. And so there was so many different things that I feel like I missed out on because I allowed one little scar to cause me to stand in the background when I should have been stepping forward. And so I go through in my story talking about just coming face to face with that person, with that scar, letting it tell its story, whatever the story was, whatever the lesson was that I learned from it, letting that scar speak for itself, and then taking the lessons learned and applying them to my life and overcoming that now to where I actually am comfortable calling myself a leader.
Cool. Well, tell me some of these lessons.
Oh, gosh. Just speaking up for myself. That was one of the major things, because when you feel like people don't see you, or if they see you, they'll see the problem, then you just won't volunteer for things. So there was things such as when I was younger in the choir, I can sing, and then they would ask for who wants to lead this solo, and I wanted to. Everything in me was screaming, girl, you want the solo. But then because I'm like, well, but if I step up, then the first thing they're gonna see is this big scar on the side of my face. The first thing people are gonna start asking questions. And so over the course of time, I just kept turning down opportunities. And so the lesson that I learned is that nobody is going to call you to the front. When it's time for you to step up, or when you know that you want to, you have to forget about what you think people are going to say, because they're gonna say something anyway. They're gonna talk anyway, whether you're in the front or not. Either they're gonna talk about you behind your back, or they're gonna talk about you in your face. But either way, you have to make the decision to live your life the way that you feel it should be lived, and not be so concerned with what other people have to say about it. Sometimes you have to encourage yourself, and sometimes you have to speak victory during the test. No matter how you feel, speak the word and you will be healed. Speak over yourself, encourage yourself in the Lord.
That's what I'm talking about. Okay.
The turning point for me was I actually had two points in life where I say were my major milestones. There was the one turning point right when I was going into my freshman year of high school, and literally I'm going to a brand new school. I didn't even live in the neighborhood of the school that I was going to, so I'm leaving one neighborhood, going to the school in a whole different neighborhood. And fear just came over me because I'm like, wow, now I got to learn all these new people. The first thing they're going to see is like this girl with the scar. And I didn't want to be labeled the girl with the scar. And so I'm standing in the mirror. I got my first day of school fit on, trying to, make sure everything is right. And then I look in the mirror and then instantly I just got sad because I was like, I don't understand what I'm gonna do to help people see me beyond this, like to see me, because in my mind, in my heart, I know that I'm creative. I know that I'm smart. I know I'm a great friend. I know all these great things about myself, but how am I gonna get them to see that without first seeing this and then not wanting to rehearse it in my mind or rehearse it to anybody, what happened, because that was still a pain point that I hadn't dealt with. And so realizing that I hadn't dealt with that happened when I was 12. I'm now 14. And so 2 years have gone by and you just kind of tuck it away like, hey, I'm fine. I'm okay. So standing in the mirror, trying to get my fit together, I actually came face to face with that girl and I said, you know what? You're beautiful. You are smart. You are creative. You are wonderful. Just really positive affirmations for myself. And so I was able to go in and lead with my personality. I'm still an introvert, but I didn't shy back. I encouraged conversation. Whenever people came to me, I was intentionally telling myself, okay, they're being friendly. Just talk back. Let them see who you are. Let them know what you think or, how much of a good friend you are, whatever it is. Let them know how talented you are in sports, in academia, whatever it is. Just be you. And so that was the first turning point. But then into adulthood, it's a little different when you're going into corporate America, when you're going into ministry, when you're going into leadership roles. Just kind of getting to the point where I'm okay standing in front of the room. So at the age of 30, answering the call into ministry, it was that whole 14-year-old feeling all over again. Instant fear, because now not only do I have a scar, I have emotional baggage coming along. I have skeletons in my closet that I wish to God that they would just stay there. All these different things that have stacked up over time. And so it's like, God, are you sure? Me? Really? Because at this point, if I have to teach your word, if I have to preach, that means I'm literally standing on a stage in front of people as an authority figure. And I'm not feeling much like an authoritative person. And it's like, yeah, that's what I called you to do. And so having to come face to face with your purpose that is totally conflicting what you feel. And it's like, okay, I have to do something different. Am I going to continue to fight what God I know God is calling me to do? Or am I going to walk in this fear? And I chose to follow God. Yeah, so my mom, of course, I call her Mama Monkey because the old saying that even a monkey thinks their own baby is cute, right? So you'll hear me or see me reference my mom as Mama Monkey when that's my baby. I'm like, okay, Mama Monkey, really? But she always, because y'all remember, it was a time where even being dark-skinned was a bad thing. Oh, nah, she dark. She's a darkie. She's blackie. Things like that, oh my gosh, that we had to endure. So you black and you got a scar. That is crazy, right? And so, but my mom, she was so intentional about when I was growing up, pouring into me consistently. You are beautiful. You my little chocolate drop. Just making me feel special. Now, of course, in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's my mom. She's supposed to say that. But then I had my aunties, adopted aunties in the community that would pour into me and say, you are so beautiful. You're smart. And then, of course, you would get the people, they meant well, but they'd be like, oh, you cute for a dark girl. Those kind of conversations. And it's like, all right, I'm going to take that for a compliment, but because I know what you meant. But that's really not a compliment. But just those voices are the ones that there can't be this many people that see something in me that's not really there. So if they're saying it, then there has to be something. So I have to go search for it myself, embrace it myself, and believe that for myself. Because we're all going to age. We're all going to get older, and the beauty, the vainness of beauty is going to fade anyway. So if you invest in what's important now, all that other stuff, I mean, it just is what it is. And everybody is beautiful in their own way. But the most beautiful thing about any person is their character. And if you invest in your character, all the other stuff is irrelevant, really. Actually confronting those self-esteem issues really freed me to go pursue the things that I wanted. There was times where I would sit and wait for people to call me up. Well, but if you don't voice that that's what you want, if you don't pursue it, there's very few people that are going to invest in somebody that won't invest in themselves. And so for me to actually step out and say, hey, I want that opportunity, or is there an opportunity? Where does this track lead? Can you show me what you do? And so just taking ownership of my own path, that's been the difference for me in corporate America. And so once I invested in myself, I started taking the classes. I went back to school, earned my degrees, these types of things. Then I position myself so when I do walk into the room and say, hey, I want an opportunity, I have something to show for it. And so, but I wouldn't have done that if I was still questioning my worth, if I was still questioning if they saw me. I know you see me because I'm knocking on this door. So the book came around because of my mentor, Saba Tekel. She has done this series of 20 Beautiful Women for 6 years, actually. It's a group of women that she get together. She does conferences, all this. She's really, really big on sisterhood. And I'm not sure, I had just published my website, and I dumped the website on my social media, and she followed me on Twitter. Different name, so I went and clicked on her profile just to see, well, who is this woman? And so I'm scrolling her profile, and I was like, okay, she's from Atlanta, and just seemed like she was really, really heavy into women's empowerment. So I just wanted to follow her and kind of just see what she was up to. And then I got a DM from her saying, hey, this is what I'm working on, this is what I'm thinking, this is kind of, what I'm trying to do. Is this something that you would like to be a part of? Well, of course, send me the information, I'll check it out. And it was just the mission, everything that she was trying to accomplish was right in line with what I felt my purpose is. And so jumped on board, and that was in July of 2016. And by December, I had books. Wow. Yeah. So the publishing process went by really, really quickly. Met the other ladies that were in the book, and we all came together in a summit. It was so beautiful. To get these women together and not knowing each other, but come together with so many different experiences and so many lessons learned, but able to really push each other forward and champion each other, support each other in business and life, all kinds of things. So it's been pretty interesting. I've always had a super forgiving heart. And that was one of the things that I feel like my mom, she hated. She loved it, but she hated it because she felt like there was times when I should stand up for myself when I didn't. When there were times where she felt that I should stand up for myself, but I didn't. And I've always felt like everything happens for a reason. And it's not my job to judge anybody's reason or even their action, even if it's against me, because everything presents an opportunity to learn something. So God, what are you teaching me about me? What are you teaching me about other people? What are you teaching me about her? What are you teaching her about herself? Because I know we were friends, and I don't believe that was the intent, that she was trying to harm me. So what in this situation is going to help us be better? Because I can be hateful towards her for life. I can hate her forever, but it doesn't benefit me or her. So what do I need to do in this situation to either take the lesson or to just be able to go forward in life without the baggage of, oh, well, this was my friend or whatever. And so we had a conversation. We've talked about it several times over the course of the years, but right before the book came out, we had a really, really in-depth conversation because I had to tell her that I talked about it in my book. I didn't name her, but if anybody knew us from then, they would be able to put the pieces together. And so I gave her the benefit of knowing that I talked about it in the book and that it was going to come out. And it was then that she was able to share or even get some of the things off her chest that she had held on to, some of the guilt that she had held on to all these years. And I had already told her years ago that I forgave her, I was over it. But every time she would see me, she would see the scar, and it would remind her of what she had done. And so I think getting to the place of forgiveness is really realizing that even the person that inflicted the harm, while they were responsible for it, they also are going through things themselves. They have constant reminders. And we all want to forget stuff that we've done wrong. And so she had the constant reminder. She's walking around with guilt. Yes, I have the physical evidence, but she has emotional evidence from what she's gone through. And so that thing is what really solidified me forgiving her and being able to move forward. And since then, we've gone on girls' trips. I mean, I was in her wedding. She was in mine. We've just gone on like nothing ever happened.
Cool.